Like, wow, I never would have guessed that President Snow used to be a freaking hunk. So the Hunger Games prequel, I watched it. What did I think about it? All right, well, this is what I thought. So I wasn't actually looking forward to this movie, and then I watched it, and it was actually pretty great. This is a really solid, entertaining, well-acted movie that immerses you in the Hunger Games world once again, and it does so successfully. All right, so this movie follows a young President Snow. And to be honest, like when I first heard about this movie, I was like, why should I care about President Snow? No offense, but he's not like some iconic villain. He's not Darth Vader or something like that. But actually, I think he's actually a really great character. The actor that plays him does a phenomenal job. I really liked watching him. I liked watching his journey. He has hardships in his life, and you want to see him succeed, which is weird. It's like you know where he's going to end up. You know how a story is going to end, but you're still interested in seeing how he got there. Which brings me to something this movie handled really well, and that is the change from President Snow being this guy with a good heart who you could easily see become the hero to becoming instead kind of a jaded person who will eventually become the bad guy that we know him as. And that is handled actually really well, in my opinion. A lot of times in movies, like a prequel or something, where you have a character where you know they are going to end up becoming a bad guy, but they start out as a good guy, sometimes the change can be extremely abrupt. You have somebody that's just a great character, cares about people, and then all of a sudden their personality will just like completely change. And it can come out of like nowhere and be a little bit abrupt. But in this movie, President Snow, he starts out as an extremely clever, extremely driven young man who has a good heart and does care about people to a degree. By the end of the movie, due to some of the events and things that have happened to him, he's gotten a little jaded and he's hardened his heart. So now he's willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. And he doesn't really care about who it hurts on the way. And his personality doesn't just change. I feel like this would have made a little more sense if they would have developed his relationship with Lucy so that when the eventual demise of their relationship came, it felt more heartbreaking, because it didn't. But other than that, I think that they did a really good job with President Snow's turn. The second best thing about this movie is just the world building in this movie. This feels like the Hunger Games again. It's believable that this is the Hunger Games world years before the first time we've been introduced to it. And this movie really does a really good job at immersing you in this world once again. And there is this desperation everybody has, where everybody, no matter where you're at in society, you still are under the thumb of somebody. I feel like Suzanne Collins just really understood how society works and stuff like that. Some of the side characters I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the speaker guy who reports on the Hunger Games. He's so deplorable, but he's so funny, but he's horrible. And part of the fact that he's so horrible is why it's so funny. Another thing that I appreciated about this movie, in the previews, when I saw that Lucy was going to be in the Hunger Games and she was like, hey, you need to help me win, I really honestly thought, because this is what Hollywood's been doing lately, was going to make her some badass fighter and just like kick everybody's asses in the Hunger Games. And I was just like, that's going to be so silly, because Rachel Zegler is not a very big lady. She's very petite. She's very small. And it's not like she's not taking anybody out with brute strength, okay? And they actually didn't go that route in this movie. Really appreciated that, because it makes it more grounded in reality. All right, but let's talk about Rachel Zegler playing Lucy Gray in this movie. So, putting aside any feelings you have for Rachel Zegler, who just for some reason doesn't know how to be quiet for 3 seconds, I'm just judging her off of her character in this film and how she does in this movie. She actually surprised me. I think she actually did better than I was expecting her to do. But with having said that, I also don't think that she was like the best person to play this role. I think there was probably other people that would have been able to pull off this role a lot better. She's passable. She is doing her best. It's not like she's giving a half-hearted performance, in my opinion. The thing is, I just don't think that she was really the right person for this role. And let me explain why. So Lucy Gray, her character, she's from District 12. So it's not like she grew up in a life of luxury. She hasn't been a privileged person growing up, but she's tenacious She's clever, she has moxie, and she can be charming when she wants to be. And for some reason, I just don't feel like Rachel Zegler could pull this off. So it's not like she was acting bad. It's just she doesn't exude those traits. There's something about Rachel Zegler that she just seems like somebody that kind of grew up in a life of privilege. I don't know if that's how it seems like to you guys, but that's how it feels like for me. Like when I watch her in anything, I just can't really see her as some girl that's down on her luck, scraping to get by kind of person. And I feel like that's kind of what this character needed. She doesn't stick out a ton or anything like that. It's just, I feel like someone else would have been better suited. All right, but another thing. So I think that they could have done the romance between President Snow and Lucy way better. One of my biggest gripes of the film, President Snow, this entire film, has pretty much been like in love with Lucy. And it seems like Lucy's like in love with him, I guess, too. Like I said, they didn't really build the relationship up as well as they should have. This movie is like 2.5 hours long, and there's certain things that they could have cut down a bit, and I think they could have developed the relationship between the two of these characters way more. So in the end, like President Snow, we've seen him, he's sacrificed a ton. He's put his life on the line. He's put a lot of things on the line for this girl. And he's like even agreed to like run away with Lucy. And then all of a sudden, like just like one little thing happens and Lucy's just like, oh, I'm done. And she just like takes off. And then at one point, President Snow gets like kind of flustered and then tries to shoot her. But it just kind of seemed out of nowhere. And then it was just like she was gone. And President Snow was like, aha, now I'm going to go back to my old life and become a horrible dictator. All right. But yeah, I really surprisingly really liked this movie. The ending, I feel like could have been better. I wish they would have done the love story a little bit better, and I wish they would have put a little more time into developing the relationship between those two characters. However, other than those few little nitpicks I have, overall, this is a really great movie, and I highly recommend it, and I hope people will go and watch this movie in movie theaters because I think this movie is worth paying to watch in theaters. It looks great and it's just a quality movie, and it's the best movie I've seen in a long while. So please go check it out if you haven't. If you have watched it, let me know what you thought of it. I was about to start my own Hunger Games while sitting in the movie theater because there were these two little boys behind me, and when they weren't talking, they were kicking the seats, and I was about to go back there and smack their heads together like coconuts. I was like, you know what? Maybe the people in this movie have a point. Maybe we should make these children fight to the death. But that's all I have for today, you guys. What did you think about this movie? Did you like it? What Hunger Games movie is your favorite? But let me know in the comments below. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you'd like to help support my channel. Just keep watching movies, guys, and keep being happy, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.